Okay, so
Hey guys, how you doing?
this is Lena.
And Jeremy.
I just thought it'd be important to talk about a few things regarding finances and lending. I got Jeremy, Sergent.
Like Sergeant, but without the A. I always say my family was too poor to afford the A, so now we're Sergeant instead of Sergeant. It's a great combination. So the real estate market is really hot right now, right guys? So a lot of interesting things happening right now. A lot of people have been sitting on the fence for a long time, and we're trying to get you guys motivated to get into the game because there's never been a better time.
Yeah, and I want to run down a few hot topics when it comes to buying preparedness, buying readiness, because I don't think a lot of people understand what it takes, and it's not just, you know, I can afford $1,500 a month, so that's the budget I'm going with. But we have to talk about budget, and we have to talk about how you're gonna get financing, and that's basically the beginning stages, because without budget, how do you know what you can afford?
Exactly. It's not just being in the game, but how do you get in the game, right? And so buying a home is a very emotional thing, wouldn't you say? A lot of people get very emotional about the shopping process, which is why I like that you deal with them and not me. Still love you guys, but you know, I let her deal with the emotional side of it. She gets to do the fun things, so shopping for a home and having landscapers try to do their job while you're recording a video. That's the other fun things. But you get to deal with the emotional side, but I'm your numbers guy. So when it comes to being ready to go and enjoy that emotional roller coaster, my job is to help keep you focused on what does it take to even get here. And it's not just, hey, I want to go shopping for a house this weekend. It's Friday at 3 p.m. What do I got to do to make that happen? No, guys, it's about understanding it well ahead of time and being prepared. And we're going to give you some clues and some tips on being ready for that big game.
So exactly what he said. What you want to do is important in the so what I like to do is talk about 6 months out. If you're interested in purchasing a home, let's start at a 6-month point and what you need to do within that 6 months to have your best foot forward and know exactly where you're going with the home buying process.
You know, it's important to know the data, right? The numbers don't lie. And for a kid who graduated high school with a consumer math class and no calculus, I'm still a data geek. And so the numbers are not emotional. And what you want to look at, the more knowledge, the more data that you have, the more empowered you're going to be in that driver's seat to make the decisions and to be ready to make the decisions that you want to make. So understanding where your credit is, looking at the average down payment, the loan programs that we have available, what those requirements are. The idea, I hear a lot about, people ask me about down payment assistance programs, right? And my biggest rule in all 23 plus years in this industry now is there's nothing more expensive than free money, okay? It just is. Well, down payment assistance programs were created for people who have maybe marginal income. They don't really have the money to put down. But in my opinion, and a lot of industry experts, we can argue about this if you want, is that down payment assistance programs I look at as a light level of victimization of the borrower, because you take somebody who's already in a bad position financially, or not bad, but less than advantageous, and you're going to put them in a worse position. Why would you do that? I just can't in good conscience do that. Now, I think everybody should be able to have a home. Everybody should have the experience that, you know, that American dream of, you know, owning your own place. Guys, if you lived in apartments, you know the deal. You can't even paint a wall a different color, right? You can't hang anything on the walls. You can't make it your own. And I want everyone to have that experience and to have that vested interest. Plus, there's no better way to gain generational wealth than through real estate.
Absolutely.
So I want everybody to be there. You've got to look at the data. So you can get with your free credit reporting agencies is number one. Get Credit Karma, whatever. I'm not paid by them to promote them, by the way. I've just used them for 10 years. Credit Karma gives you at least 2 of your scores. A lot of the other banks will give you free credit scores. Look at the data and understand that mortgage credit is different than automobile credit. It's different than your cell phone. It's, you know, it's going to look at a different scoring model, but the data is still important. Even if you're just getting those 2 scores or 1 score from your bank, it's a really great baseline. Plus, identity theft and all kinds of those things are on a massive rise. Always, you have to make sure that your credit report doesn't have erroneous nonsense. And when Lena says 6 months, she's also talking about being able to identify any issues that don't belong to you, and then work with the right agencies, the right reputable agencies, to get those things cleared up. Give it some lead time. It's not 6 weeks, it's not 6 days, 6 months, guys. It could take to get your credit scores right and to have you prepared.
Yeah.
So 6 months, brilliant.
So if your credit is healthy, let's just say, what are the other steps in the process that you will have to do in order to get that pre-qualification?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. When Lena says your credit is healthy, meaning when you're looking at mortgage credit, you want to have at least 3 open trade lines. You don't need a ton of them, but 3 open trade lines. And for your scores to be in optimal position, you want to be in less than 30% of that debt ratio, meaning that $10,000 limit on your credit card, you have less than a $3,000 balance. That's going to look at your high level of revolving. It's going to create better scores for you, but make sure the accounts you have are healthy. Make sure you're actually utilizing them a little bit. Don't go get in debt. This is not debt advice. This is credit advice. So behave yourself and look and be very invested in where your scores are. So do that.
So you're saying you want your debt to income ratio to be around 30%.
Yes, your utilization to be less than 30%.
Okay.
Now, the different loan programs, your debt to income ratio brought up a very important thing. Well, there are 2 numbers when they're looking at your debt to income ratio, what they call your front end number and your back end number. Your front end number is what they call your housing expense. How much of your income will be taken up by that mortgage payment. So typically you want to be in the 25 to 30%, and this varies different loan programs. You can message us directly and we'll give you specifics on these. But the difference between conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, phenomenal properties available USDA, by the way, but those ratios are going to be different. Now your back end number, you have to be below 50%. There's a much lower tolerance to conventional than there is FHA and so on, right? But VA, for all of our vets out there, we love you guys. Guess what? The VA is so lenient on your back end number. They look at what they call your residual income, how much money you have left at the end of the month. So they don't follow the conventional rules for these things, but look to an expert. She'll explain it all for you.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, it's different ratios. Your debt to income ratio, how much of your monthly money is tied up between your revolving credit card bills, your car payments, cars are expensive, guys, and what your current mortgage payment or your proposed housing expense will be. Very critical and one of the #1 factors, besides your credit score, in determining your underwriting worthiness and getting you that loan closed.
Okay. So I guess the next thing we need to talk about is how do they determine your purchasing power?
Purchasing power, right?